Good afternoon and welcome to ARC's Fireside Chat. Welcome world. My name is Sam Lewis. I'm the Executive Director of ARC, the Anti-Recidivism Coalition. Before we go forward with our program today, I'd like to, as always, give a few instructions in regards to technology that we're using. If you're on Zoom, if you take a look at the bottom of your screen, move your cursor down to the bottom, you'll see a ribbon at the bottom. And if you'd like to add things to the chat, there's a chat box there, or Q&A box, and that'll allow you to send questions to us live, and they'll be filtered and sent to us so we'll be able to answer those questions. So I'd like to start off with some updates for both ARC and the Department of Corrections here in California. So, of course, we've continued to move forward with transitioning all of our programs at ARC virtually. The one that I'm most excited about that happened this week was our Prevention Specialist Certification Program. That's a collaboration with East Los Angeles College. They're now online. We were able to make sure that all our ARC participants had computers, and they'll be able to complete this certification. Super excited about that, as that was the last of our programs that were in collaborations with colleges that we needed to transition over, and now we're there. The next one that I think I'm even more excited about, we just got word that we will be able to do virtual programming in the Department of Juvenile Justice. For some of us, I'll age myself a little bit here. Back in the day, we used to call them youth authorities. Now they're the Department of Juvenile Justice. So we've just been given permission to do virtual programming with the Department of Juvenile Justice. We have shifted all of our programming over into the Department of Corrections, as I understand it. Both steps 1, 2, and 3 for criminals and gang members anonymous are now airing inside the Department of Corrections. In terms of COVID-19, in the Department of Corrections, the latest update was 627 tests have been conducted, 75 confirmed tests of positive for people that are in custody, 83 confirmed tests for staff members of the Department of Corrections. I've also received a few phone calls from Lancaster Prison that have verified that everyone inside has each received 2 masks. And I'm hoping and waiting to get verification from other institutions that this is being done across the state. As I understand that as supplies are available, that is the next step. So happy about those things that are actually taking place to keep our family and loved ones safe. In regards to Pelican Bay, we are also providing programming. I'm waiting for verification for Pelican Bay to verify that they've also received masks. So I'd like to now introduce 3 amazing human beings, people that I'm so excited to have on our show here today. First, Chief Jeremy Brant. He started his experience with the fire service in 1993 as an explorer firefighter at the age of 14, very young. He is currently a battalion chief for CAL FIRE assigned to the Ventura Training Center. He has been in the fire service for a total of 27 years and has been with CAL FIRE as a professional firefighter for 21 years. He has the experience of working with the municipal city environments and to the wildland environments. Jeremy lives in Ventura County with his wife and son. Our second guest is Michelle Garcia, a formerly incarcerated woman and advocate who believes in multiple chances. She is the wife of an amazing, supportive husband, a mother of 4 strong, resilient children, and a grandmother of a 1-year-old grandson. Michelle is driven by the desire to inspire others and is a passionate storyteller who openly shares her experience of incarceration as a mother and the challenges that she and her family have endured during incarceration and after release. Today, she continues to use her insights and experience to help the incarcerated and their loved ones. Michelle has worked as a regional coordinator for the Center for Restorative Justice Works, reuniting families for Mothers and Father's Day. In 2016, she carried this same passion to Defy Ventures as a family program manager. Michelle is currently working with the Anti-Recidivism Coalition as the program coordinator for the Ventura Training Center. Kurt Pinelli, really excited to hear more from Kurt today. So Kurt is from San Jose, California. Kurt came home from prison in January 2019. Since going to fire camp, he's committed to changing and making his family proud for the first time in his life. After being at Ventura Training Center for a year, he came to believe that there are truly people here that want to see his success and will help him in any capacity they have. Kurt was recently offered a full-time position. Let me say that again, a full-time position with CAL FIRE and Paso Robles, and could not be more excited about it. His family includes his mom and older brother. So that's if you're not excited about hearing from these people, I really am. Chief, how are you doing this time? This COVID crisis, shelter in place, and knowing that May is like, as I understand, the beginning of fire season. So how are you, and how did you get into this line of work?
Yeah, thank you, Sam. I'm doing really well. I appreciate the invite to be a part of this discussion. We are very busy this time of the year right now, typically preparing for fire season. As we know in California, fire season can be year-round. We've been very fortunate right now. We've had a little bit of rain here in Southern California where it could extend the fire season from starting here a little bit. And so during this time, we do prepare for fire season. Matter of fact, next week we have our annual fire preparedness exercise that we do typically at this time of the year in all of our hand crews, because we run hand crews out of two of our fire centers here in Ventura County, which is Ventura Training Center, as well as the Camarillo Fire Center. And so we've been preparing for that, and we'll do our exercise next Tuesday, just indicating that we're prepared to launch into the fire season. And then on top of that, yeah, we are, as a fire department, CAL FIRE, and as a fire service as a whole, engaged with COVID-19, and CAL FIRE's been engaged with COVID-19 since the onset.
Thank you, Chief. Michelle, how are you? And I hope family is safe and everything. How are you, and how did you get into this line of work?
Well, thank you for having me, first of all, Sam. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about something that's pretty powerful over here in Ventura. I got into this line of work by accident. In my incarceration, I spent about 18 months in county jail. It was my first time being incarcerated. So I was not familiar with the rumor on the yards and the talk. And so when people told me, oh, don't worry about it, when you get sentenced, you can go to fire camp and you'll be home within a couple of years. And, you know, what's fire camp? And long story short, I was sentenced, and I went and spent a year and a half at fire camp in Malibu. And that is where I learned a lot of valuable tools that I didn't know I was going to need. But my passion for women in this role, and just the community and the life lessons that experience taught me, just showed me that that this was a very powerful part of my rehabilitation, and I've just been able to carry it out since. And when your organization offered this to me, I was nothing but pleased to come back and be able to be of service, and to be able to encourage you know, men that are coming out of the same process that I went through, and just to be able to understand, you know, where they're at, and just be able to meet them. Sometimes words don't even need to be said. You just can look at somebody and recognize what they're experiencing and what they're going through. And that's how I landed here, and I'm just thrilled to be here.
And we're thrilled to have you as part of the ARC team. Thank you so much, Michelle. Kurt, how you doing? How you doing today? And what made you decide to make this your like the passion of your life, as I understand it?
All right. Well, I'm doing pretty well. Kind of adjusting with this COVID-19 situation going on here. But we're all kind of taking it in stride here at the training center. Miss my family a little bit, but they kind of tell us as far as being a firefighter, you got to get used to being away from your family. So this is almost like another like little training opportunity just for us in and of itself. As far as how I got into this line of work, I mean, my blessing was also my curse. I went to prison for about 4 years, and at this time I went to fire camp. Now before, there's no way I would have ever considered myself even a potential candidate to become a firefighter. It was something I always thought was just out of my grasp due to previously being arrested, issues with drugs, alcohol, things like that. But at this camp and in the camp system, even though we were not always interacting with the public, even the limited interaction that we did have, it was always positive, and we really felt like we got to help people. And it really felt great just to be a part of a crew, kind of interact with people you might not always be around all the time, and getting along with them, treating them just like brothers. And really, I just got a passion for helping people. It's kind of made me decide what I wanted to do, and that's why I came here. And now it's all, the way I played my cards, it ended up working out, and hopefully I'll be continuing to do that for a long time forward now.
I'm looking forward to following your career. I've seen some of the training that you all do there, and I'm amazed. If I wasn't 51, I'd try it. With bad knees and bad Achilles, I would try, because I know it's a hard work. I've seen the training; it's intense. Chief Brant, could you tell us or share with us why is VTC necessary, and can you tell us about fire opportunities for incarcerated people in California? Like, in other words, are there other opportunities for people that have been incarcerated?
Yeah, so VTC, Ventura Training Center. So I've been involved since the onset of Ventura Training Center and the introduction. We started our first class October 22nd of 2018. And so, excuse me, we're coming up next Wednesday, April 22nd, on the completion of that first class, the 18-month program. And so that's pretty exciting. And so necessary, I've learned over the 18 months of being with the now 4 classes we have involved in Ventura Training Center. And it's about 93 people that have come into the program. And what I've learned is the necessity for it. And what it offers is, it's almost like a threshold from coming from prison in just before going out into the real world. It gives an opportunity to be in an environment that allows you to be around a positive influence of people. And so that experience is super necessary for the culture of people that are coming through this program, to be able to receive the life skills that they're receiving, the structure, the discipline, the professionalism that we as staff here at the Ventura Training Center offer to our participants. And so you see just a true transformation from the first week that they show up here at the center for their program into where we are right now with our first class, seeing at the end of their 18-month program and just seeing that transformation that occurred. And so as far as the necessity, to be able to put them in an environment that offers that for them, to just give them a different perspective from what they may be used to, environment, living wise, and so forth. So that's how I feel that the necessity of the program is for the participants we do have. Challenges, there's challenges. Almost every application that you get asks if you've been incarcerated or a felony, and so then it goes beyond that into some agencies, some departments will do background checks, and so depending on the regulations and policies of those agencies will determine whether individuals will be successful in receiving a job and being hired for those agencies. With CAL FIRE, we've had plenty of previously incarcerated folks working in our department, even prior to Ventura Training Center. There are some areas with the EMT, the emergency medical technician certificate, where it can be difficult for previously incarcerated people to receive their EMT. And so one thing we offer here at Ventura Training Center is the public safety first aid, which allows us to even give that class to previously incarcerated people. Although there are some challenges, there's also ways to still continue and pursue the ability to serve as a firefighter if this is what's in what they want to do.
That's so one that's the opportunity is amazing. To just consider that in 2019, Kurt came from prison and now he has an opportunity to be a CAL firefighter. And just so you know, I still consider firefighters like the last superheroes that don't wear capes. Seriously, it might sound corny, but I had experiences when I was a kid where firefighters saved my dad and I in a car accident. And all I remember were the yellow jackets, hats, and a red engine. And I was just a kid, but I've always viewed firefighters in that sense. So for the audience to understand, this is a collaboration led by CAL FIRE. So the collaboration is CAL FIRE in the lead, the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, the California Conservation Corps, and ARC as in a partnership to help people that are in fire camps that would like the opportunity. Not guaranteed, you have to work hard, you have to demonstrate that you can do this job and that your heart is in it. But it's an opportunity to become a CAL firefighter. This is huge, and this was with support from the governor's office. So before Governor Brown went out of office, this was one of the last things that he wanted to make sure that actually got done. And if you have an opportunity, reach out to, and I give you information at the end of our segment, reach out to us and maybe you can come for a visit. The training center is amazing. I watched it from when it started to now that it's completely built out. It's simply amazing. Michelle, question to you. So what's the best part for you? And or let me rephrase that. Can you tell us more about the Ventura training facility and what makes VTC special? And I'd like to also hear from you, Chief, after Michelle.
What makes it special, honestly, as Chief Brant was just describing, that transition from prison into society, and the services that we can to enhance someone's ability to succeed out there. I'd like to back that up a little bit because very often when I'm asked about my fire camp experience, I talk about imagining coming out of Chowchilla CCWF and just coming from there straight to freedom would have been very difficult for me. And that experience in fire camp, as Kurt was explaining, that you're slowly integrated back into society, being around people, whether it's projects or trail maintenance, and you pass hikers. It's like this slow transition back into feeling like a human being again. You're around people like Chief Brant, who are compassionate souls, but with a deep integrity into their work ethic, and these things start rubbing off on you a little bit. And I think what VTC does and what makes it so special is it's a continuance of that foundation that the department build in you when you're in fire camp. So for people who don't know, fire camp, when you're incarcerated, is you work Monday through Friday with either CAL FIRE or LA County Fire in California, and you spend the day with them, and then you cross the line at the end of the day, and then you're custody, you belong to the state. And so you get that 8-10 hours of your day working side by side with people, like Sam says, that are heroes in our eyes. Who doesn't look at a fireman and think of a hero, and you get to work with these people, and it changes your mindset. It just, it just really gives you a second chance. And so what VTC does is enhances that. So imagining an additional 18 months, to build yourself up and to learn about yourself, to take life skills, to have people to talk to as those small triggers start coming back into your life, and you have to learn to redo things or to do things the right way. We don't have that experience. You can sit in all the classes inside, and they're powerful, they're meaningful, but until you can actually apply the skills that you're learning. And what happens here at VTC is you have 18 months to learn how to apply those skills, and you're surrounded by heroes and amazing leaders. And so I think that is what makes VTC special in my eyes. And it's just an amazing opportunity to see these men grow and become what they always wanted to be. I mean, I just got teary-eyed listening to Kurt's introduction. He wanted to make his family proud, and he feels like he's finally doing that. Like, that alone is pretty amazing of what VTC is doing.
Thank you, Michelle. Chief, what would you say, a couple of questions. So what would you say makes VTC special? And then, and these two questions are actually from the audience. One, is there age limit? And what does a person need to do, or what qualifies a person for a CAL FIRE job? So what makes VTC special? Is there age limit? And how does a person qualify for a CAL FIRE job?
So to start off with the question, what makes VTC special? And so, there's a professional answer, and then there's a personal answer, and I'll give you a little bit of both on it. The professional side of it is that, we get to provide a service to the community. We're providing a service to currently the previously incarcerated men that are freshly coming out of prison and into our program. We get to provide a service to them. In turn, we're providing a service to the community. And as firefighters, that's what we are. We're public servants. And so that's one of the things that we teach these folks that come through our program, is what it is to be a servant, a public servant. And sometimes that term servant isn't always looked at as something good. And so that's something we stress in this program, that being a servant is good, because that's what firefighters are. We're public servants. We're providing a service to not only to our local communities, but to the state of California. And so that's part of the teaching part of it on the professional side. And on the personal side is, here's an example. This morning alone, we had a gentleman leaving a couple hours ago because he just received a job with CAL FIRE.
Wow.
And so he had been in the program over a year. And so just to be able to see his transformation from the time that he came into the program and to the point where I got to shake his hand this morning and see him on his way out, and just excited about his new life ahead of him, and being able to give him the last minute advice to him. And that right there is special enough to be able to say, all right, we're accomplishing some pretty good stuff here in this program. And it's transformation, not only in these folks, but in society and our culture as a whole. We're just a little bit of transformation you get in one person, you're transforming the whole of the entire situation for our culture, really, our society. And so just a little bit in the long run, you start seeing a bigger transformation. And so I think that pretty much makes Ventura Training Center special in its own way, to be able to do that. And we have amazing staff that work in this program. just the CAL FIRE staff, the Department of Parole staff, DJJ who supports our kitchen role. We have a high school teacher through the John Muir Charter School, the California Conservation Corps, and we have volunteer programs come in supporting us with our kitchen staff through Ventura ARC. It's just amazing the amount of people that are coming through this program. We have counselors that are involved in this program that are a necessity. And so with the staff on site is completely amazing in what this program has ended up to be in 18 months. And so to look forward to what's going to happen in the future, I'm pretty excited about. What was the second question?
Is there an age requirement, and what does a person need to do to qualify to work for CAL FIRE?
Okay, so age requirement for VTC. We just recently, in class 4 that came in January of 2020, brought in 3 young folks from Pine Grove Youth Authority through DJJ. And so that was the first time we've opened that up to those folks. And so they have to be at least 18 years old. And so on the older side of it, we've had men in here in the ages of 50, right around there. And so you have to be an adult basically to come to our program. So, and in order to get into CAL FIRE, yeah, it's challenging to get any fire service job. I've went through my own struggles to become a firefighter. And CAL FIRE has very specific qualifications, prerequisites to come into the department. And so the great thing about Ventura Training Center, we offer those prerequisites to our participants of the program to help qualify them to get a job with CAL FIRE. And yet they still have to fill out the application, and they still have to do the resumes, and they still have to do the interviews, and those items we help them prepare for. And so we have folks that haven't been incarcerated out on the street that are trying to get jobs that don't even have some of the classes that we're offering through Ventura Training Center. And so there's a huge benefit for the participants going through this program in helping to build their resume and to support them when they do go apply for CAL FIRE.
Thank you, Chief. Kurt, can you outline what the program is like? Like what's the structure like? And what was the best part for you, and what was the hardest part?
All right. So under normal circumstances, the program's typically lined out where you show up. Well, first you have to get admitted, but then you show up, and then the first 6 months is dedicated to training and getting your certifications that you would need to make yourself an eligible candidate or to become a firefighter for hopefully CAL FIRE. Assuming you get through that, then after that you would transition to working on a hand crew. Now, a lot of the people that are here are either from a hand crew or they worked at a firehouse, so they're familiar kind of with that aspect. But then the goal is to work on that crew until you hopefully get hired by CAL FIRE or the feds or some other firefighting agency. For the typical day around here, I would say that it's dedicated mostly to training. Projects around here, I mean, we're building up the training center to make it totally legit place to compare with Ione and other places that are full-on academies. We're also doing projects out in the community, brushing projects, helping state parks, pretty much kind of anything you would think of that a lot of people are already familiar with if they've been in the camp system. As far as the best part, no, there's a lot of best parts about this place. I would say working with the captains has definitely been a huge plus. Working with the people, the other cadets, has also been a real experience for me. As far as the hardest parts, I would say that just like a lot of formerly incarcerated people, for me the hardest part was really just overcoming myself and some of the perceptions that I had from prison. They they carried over into my life still when I got out. And what I mean by that is as a parolee, you tend to think that people, they hate former inmates, they hate parolees, they want to see you fail. And I think that I had that attitude when I got here, and that kind of made me think, oh, well, even if I pass these classes, my odds of getting hired are slim. And it kind of made me not necessarily depressed, but made me sluggish around here a little bit. But after going through this whole process, the people here are all willing to go to bat for you if you show that you're willing to work hard. And for me personally, I've gone to fire stations really throughout the whole state to kind of promote myself to potentially get hired at these stations. And I can say that none of these captains or none of these people that are working at fire stations are holding it against people or are treating you poorly because you were formerly an inmate. If anything, it's actually a plus for you because they know that you're more committed and you're dedicated, and they know that you work hard because they know you work hard if you've been to fire camp before. So for me, it's really kind of shifted my whole attitude, thinking that used to think the world was out to get me, but now, I mean, it seems like everybody's kind of here, especially here, seems to have my back, and it's really been a rewarding experience.
Hey, thank you, Kurt. I want to jump back to you. I have a follow-up question, Chief, and I meant to ask you a minute ago. What was that piece of advice that you gave to the gentleman that was leaving to go to off to Cal Fire? Like, I'm just curious.
Well, there was a lot of advice, and too, it's a work ethic. It's something that we instilled here over the time, whether they're here for 2 weeks or 18 months or longer. We're instilling every single day an attitude, a behavior, a work ethic, an integrity and really to sum all that up into one word, it's a presence. And so being able to show up no matter where you are in this world or fire station, no matter what environment you are, to remember what we're teaching you here at Ventura Training Center and what is expected in the fire service. Because we tell these guys almost every day, we know what they're capable of. And so we have this end result for them. And that's to be able to meet an expectation of what I want to see them as when they come into my fire station to become my firefighter. And no matter what environment that they walk into, they take what we taught them here with that behavior and to carry it forward. And I feel it's typical human behavior where we get comfortable and we get complacent and we start letting our guard down. And sometimes we lose some of that ethic, that work ethic, that integrity. And so the advice is to just keep moving that forward, even the days that you want to feel like, why am I here? And kind of playing that victim role, And so just, even through the struggles, because we all have our own conflicts and struggles, and just keep strong and keep that presence and keep moving forward and pay it forward and be a leader. And that's what we teach here is a leadership program. It's firefighting. There's a lot of skills on how to be a firefighter, but it's a lot too in how to just show up in this world and be a leader and to have that presence.
So thank you, Chief. I'm curious, like right now, the not just the county, the city, but the entire world is focused on the COVID-19 crisis. And I'm curious, and I'm sure our listeners are curious, how is CAL FIRE approaching the COVID-19 crisis?
So CAL FIRE has been on the front lines and engaged with COVID-19 since the onset. And realistically, like the fire service as a whole, we're an all risk, all hazard fire department. And so we respond to all types of calls, medical calls, fires, rescues, hazmats. And so this is naturally a part of our training. And so COVID-19 is new to the world, new strain virus to the world. And so we have to adapt and adjust like the rest of the world does. However, we do have protocols and policies in place already that helps us to prepare for similar events or similar type, I'll say emergency calls that we respond to. It's a global issue. It's a state issue. It's a local issue. And so CAL FIRE is involved at all levels in supporting the state level and supporting the local level.
Thank you, Chief. And with fire season possibly around the corner, but as you said earlier, the rain may push that a little bit out. But like, how are you thinking differently how you'll approach this fire season? Like last year, I remember being like having to take multiple routes with some of the fires that were out here in northern LA County, and so there's some pretty big fires then. Is there a different strategy? Like, how are you going to approach it with the COVID-19, those pieces? I'm certain you have a strategy.
Yeah, so currently CAL FIRE as a department is still moving forward in preparing for the fire season. As I mentioned, even in the Ventura Training Center and where we're at with our programs here, we're still preparing for our exercise next week, which leads us into the fire season. At the same time, we have a COVID-19 plan in place for our program as well to keep our people, our participants, our staff healthy within our program. And we still have to go about our normal business. And so CAL FIRE as a whole is doing the same thing. We've adapted and adjusted. As a department, we're capable of responding to multiple large incidents at a time and being a part of that organization and incident command system. And so, yes, we have the COVID-19 pandemic overlying the beginning of fire season. And so as a department, we're still bringing in our seasonal Firefighter 1 workforce. We're preparing currently for that, whereas we would probably have a few classes and academies to bring in the seasonals for pre-fire season training. We're extending it out to multiple classes. That way we can still abide by CDC rules as far as social distancing and partaking in good hygiene and disinfecting and so forth. We're adapting, adjusting just like the rest of the world. And two, we're still engaged with preparing because we know the fire season is coming and it's right around the corner.
Thank you, Chief. Michelle, this is Michelle. This is for you and the Chief. And this is a question that was actually sent to us beforehand, before the interview started. So, what barriers remain for formerly incarcerated hand crew members who want to become firefighters? Like you mentioned earlier, the EMT licensing. And how is that landscape changing? Do you see changes in that landscape to provide more opportunities for people that really have wanted to be able to give back and be service to the community?
Yeah, thank you, Sam. That's a great question. It's not where it needs to be or where it will be, but it is definitely getting better. We have, what has changed is people are overcoming this obstacle. People are taking the time to hear appeals and read applications, meet people. And, we've been fortunate to have a CAL FIRE captain that visited VTC last year as a guest, who shared his story of having his license taken away because of his felony and then reinstated again. And what that does is it just gives us hope. There's still a lot of work to do. There's still many obstacles. But what I appreciate the most with CAL FIRE is, I don't have the data. I probably should have looked it up because I think of this often. But they're probably one of the largest agencies that do hire you know, second chance offenders, and people with offending records in their organization. So I don't know if that's really answering your question, because there is no black and white answer to it, but we are definitely making strides, you know, but we still have a lot of way to go.
Chief, are you aware of a different landscape, or is the landscape changing from your perspective also in terms of the licensing and some of the other things to be able to provide more opportunities for people that have convictions and want to be firefighters?
You know, as far as the licensing, EMT being an example, I'm not sure where it's at in legislature and if it is changing. So I really don't know much about that. You know, there's this opportunity with Ventura Training Center, and that next level of medical certification that we can offer, and we are offering here at Ventura Training Center, gives these guys opportunity to at least hold that qualification. We've had 3 guys actually take an EMT class here recently. And so there was a couple of them that were successful with going through the entire class and passing. And so they've made it through that part of it. And we just encourage, you know, keep moving forward, and you know, you have your own case that you have to battle through until if things do change, you know. But I think each case is case by case, and we encourage our participants to pursue it until the point that they can't any longer. And that's kind of where we're at right now with this program specifically, is giving them the best opportunity with what was outlined in this program to support them in getting jobs with CAL FIRE, the federal forest agencies being Forest Service, National Park Service, Bureau of Indian Affairs. There's some local private fire industries that previously incarcerated people have opportunity to get jobs in, and we've had one of our participants get jobs in with some of those companies. So the opportunity's there. Is it changing? I mean, VTC is a change. It's an opportunity that wasn't there 18 months ago. So and just kind of being new to this whole system as far as where we're at with the VTC program, just learning that there's other programs out there as well. You know, so I think there is a lot of opportunity and change occurring for the previously incarcerated folks.
Kurt, as you go into this new way of life, so to speak, being a CAL firefighter, have you thought about what's it going to mean being on the front line, being on call, and to being of service? Like the highest calling to me, to be of service is one of the highest callings that a person can have. Have you thought about it, especially in this COVID-19 time? Like, you're going to be first responder, front line. What have you thought about that? What does that mean to you?
Well, to me, it really means everything, because this is kind of what I've been gearing up for the last couple of years now, and it's now that it's actually happening, I almost can't believe I'm here now. Yeah, for responding to incidents, I mean, this is kind of all what we've, and it's not just me. Everybody here is gunning to do the same thing. We all want to help people, and we all want to respond to these incidences and make an impact on the everyday lives of pretty much everybody. Yeah, for me specifically, that's kind of what I've been gunning for this whole time. So I'm excited, and so is everybody else that's going to be getting a job with CAL FIRE here. And I'm sure everybody's going to be getting hired here in the very near future. So it's not just me.
Okay. I'm just imagining one of the
3 to 4 or 5 weeks from now. Well, I know for us at Ventura Training Center, we're planning through the rest of this year into next year, and you know, it's not always about planning for worst case scenario. And two, we do plan because our program needs to move forward. We need to continue bringing in participants. We do staff 3 to 4 hand crews out of this program as well. We want to be able to max our population, which is 80 participants out of this program, to be able to provide that opportunity to be able to help support these folks with potential jobs in the near future. And so COVID-19 or not, we need to move forward. We continue adapting and adjusting our COVID-19 plan so that we are capable of doing that. And I think the world is going to be adjusting as well. You know, there's this virus, and there could be more viruses coming that we're going to have to adapt to. And what used to be normal, and normal might be a little bit different for us here at Ventura Training Center. One thing I do know that has supported us is we clean quite frequently throughout the day and disinfect. We have implemented wearing masks in social gatherings of any significance, so that there's nothing spread or anything received if there's any illnesses in the program. And so for the past 4 weeks, we've been able to keep a program of about 70 people, including staff and participants, healthy and well. So I'm pretty excited about that. And I look forward to moving into the summer and seeing what that looks like. We plan on bringing in at least 2 to 3 more classes for this year. And so we're pretty excited about that.
Thank you, Chief. Michelle, last thoughts, and what do you think the world is going to look like in the next 3 or 4 weeks?
You know, honestly, I'm not sure. I go back and forth. Sometimes I just get really hopeful and inspired about all the goodness that's going to come from all this. But I also think of frightening times for people as well. You know, I just have to be, a realist sometimes and just wonder what this is going to do to people. It could be, hopefully it's the best of both worlds, However, I did want to piggyback on, the fire opportunities that we were talking about, Sam. It reminds me very much that our community can relate to is, there wasn't a time, you can probably remember yourself, when we were inside those walls and we thought we would never get certain opportunities. Family overnight visits, flu visits for families that were inside for lifers never happened. And there was a time that you never thought it was going to happen. And look what happened, And why I bring that up is because I think it's important for us to remember, as previously incarcerated, to stay ready. when that time comes and that application has to be reviewed, you want to be ready for that, hearing. And so these licensing hurdles, I just think it's really important to not ever give up, and to be prepared for it to change, instead of, my answer of it just like, who knows what's going to happen. I just want to make sure that people know that there's a lot of hope and laws that will be changing, that ARC has, already taken or played a huge role in. But with that, a final word, I think, would be what a blessing it is to be here. You just saw a small glimpse of our leadership with our chief, and he has 10, 11 captains that are little mini chiefs that are running around here, that are just awesome influencers, leaders, experts in this field. And it's an amazing opportunity to see the influence and the transformation that they're giving our cadets, but that they also give people like myself and our life coaches with ARC. And it's just a living example of, it's just not a 9-to-5 job here. It's a lifestyle, it's a transformation. And these men have an amazing opportunity, and I feel really fortunate to walk alongside of them with it. And I'm just really grateful for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Michelle. Kurt, last thoughts, and what do you think the world is going to look like in the next 4 or 5 weeks after COVID is over?
Yeah, I'm hoping things go back to normal here in the next 4 to 5 weeks, but either way, all of us are pretty resilient here, so I have a feeling even if they don't, we'll find a way to make it through, us here at the center and everybody kind of in the community. But yeah, as far as that, I think that we'll be fine. And then 4 weeks, 5 weeks, hopefully we can go back to normal and kind of at least ease the social distancing a little bit. For as far as like a kind of a closing statement, since I know there's a lot of people here like listening that are either maybe on parole or have somebody that's close to them that's in the system, that's maybe at fire camp. I would like to kind of just recommend this place if they're thinking about maybe coming here. It's something I almost feel obligated to do just because it totally changed my life in general. So if you know somebody, or you are that somebody, and you want to be a firefighter, definitely think about coming here and do what you can to get yourself into this place. You won't regret it. And even if it seems like a bad idea to begin with, the people will grow on you. And if you make it through, you could be in the same shoes as me.
Thank you, Kurt. So a few things I'd like to close out with. One, I'm an optimist. And I believe in the next month or so, maybe 2, it might take 2 months, but I think we'll be able to see beaches and parks, and we'll be back. And what I really hope and believe we'll see too is more unity just amongst people, regardless of where we're from, just understanding that we're in this together, ultimately. I'd like to thank CAL FIRE, the California Conservation Corps, the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitations, and of course the amazing ARC staff out at VTC. Thank you all for doing the amazing job that you're doing, and the cadets for having the heart that you have and putting forth the effort to really, really become the people that I consider superheroes. If there's just one thing you can do this week, I'd like to give you some examples. So just this week, a friend and ally, Mara Burrows-Sandler, donated 14,000 bars of soap to one of the local prisons, which will allow every person in that prison, which is about 3,200 people, 2 bars of soap for a couple of weeks, in addition to the state-issued soap, which you normally get 1 bar of state-issued soap. This is just one facility, and we still have needs for supplies for people that are incarcerated, people throughout the state, for those and for those that are coming home. If you're able to provide PPE through your monetary donation or help or physical supplies, please reach out to info@antirecidivism.org. That's info@antirecidivism.org, and make a gift to that. Again, thank you to our partner agencies. You can also stay in touch by reaching out to us at info@antirecidivism.org. You can Google us on You can Google us, you'll find our website, and you'll see all of the amazing work that we continue to do. You'll also see many pictures of the CAL cadets and firefighters, some of them that we shared here today. Coming up next week, please do not miss this next week. We will have, or we will be uplifting the silent voices of our children who have parents that are incarcerated. Oftentimes people don't consider how incarceration impacts the children who have parents that are incarcerated. So we'll have our very own Place for Grace organization from California with their executive director, Karen McDaniels. We'll also have Daughters Beyond Incarceration from New Orleans, amazing organization with Bree, and Tiffany Brown, Developing Despite Distance from Detroit. Each one of these organizations work with children that have parents that are incarcerated. These are powerful organizations that are doing incredibly important work. And I would really, really appreciate it if you could reach out to others so that you can actually see this. So that's Detroit, New Orleans, and California, 3 different organizations that are working to uplift the voices of children who have parents that are incarcerated and how it impacts them. Thank you again for joining us. Thank you again, Chief Brant, Michelle, and Kurt. Truly appreciate you. You have a great rest of your day, and let's remain positive, be kind to each other. Peace and blessings to all. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Sam.
you.